Welcome to Story Punk. I am Scott.
And I am Drew. How you doing?
I am doing well. There's a little bit of precipitation out there in this cold snap that we've had recently.
It's tonight is a little dusting. It's very glittery. It's very festive out there.
It is pretty wild taking the back roads here, and then you see like the cars coming over the hill and the snow's coming down. It's pretty wild. It's very cinematic.
Good. I didn't know you liked movies. That's cool.
I did. I know. It's pretty awesome. So we are here today to talk about A Few Good Men, and
like just generally some nice guys. Or
yeah, just some cool dudes, and no, but for real. But I did want to let you know that I eat breakfast 300 yards from 4,000 Cubans that are trained to kill me. So don't think for a second you can come down here and flash a badge and make me all nervous.
Yeah, you're not insecure or anything.
I'm not at all. So the movie A Few Good Men, not the general Pleasant Fellows, was.
Thanks for explaining.
There you go. The was made in 1992, directed by Rob Reiner, and we thought this would be a nice tribute to Rob Reiner, who we lost tragically at the end of this past year in 2025.
Awful.
I know, really awful. I mean, one of the things I have to say about Rob Reiner was that he's really someone that cared about his craft. I was watching a clip on YouTube where he was talking about The Princess Bride and how there's this scene in The Princess Bride that most of us, even those of us that love movies, probably would never have thought about this. But he said there's a scene where I can't remember what character it was. It's going across the bridge, and there's a lens flare, and he says that every time he would see that, he said it just really bothered him because he felt like that took you out of sort of the fairy tale nature of the story, because he said it made you feel like, oh, I'm watching a movie because it's a lens flare, and I feel like that's, to me personally, that I feel like to have such attention to detail and to think about what's going on in your audience's head, to that extent is such a, I just find that to be a, such care in your craft like that. It's just something that, most people, no matter what type of job you have, wouldn't really care about little details like that.
Well, also it tells you what his priority is as a filmmaker, and what I'm about to say makes it appropriate for our show. And the fact that there are directors who don't make this a priority is okay. But I mean, everything is how am I telling the story? That's it. I mean, Michael Bay can do some stuff that's spectacular stuff, visually, great action, whatever. I've never gone to a Michael Bay movie and said, yo, this is tight. This is really tight storytelling. This is whatever. Because that's not the priority, and that's fine. But Rob Reiner's, I don't think he has the world's most distinct visual style, although he's done a lot of movies, including this one with Robert Richardson. And Robert Richardson has shot a crazy amount of movies, like for decades, and like really, like, I don't know, like Scorsese, like 5 Tarantinos, like all kinds of crazy stuff. It's interesting that when you're Rob Reiner, you are at the top of the industry for decades, and you can work with people who are also at the top of the industry and are really distinct. And I think he must have found people who all said, yeah, no, we're here to tell this story.
Yeah,
it's not about making Tom Cruise look like the world's biggest movie star, although he looks great.
Sure.
It's not about Demi Moore. It's not about Jack Nicholson. It's not about let's showcase the performance. It's let's take this incredible script and this story and let's tell it right. And to me, as I saw the play, and we'll talk about that later, one of the things I was most impressed with this, just as the kind of movie it is, it's very theatrical, and it's a lot of dialogue, and it's very Aaron Sorkin, what it turned out to be. It doesn't feel like a play. It doesn't feel like they just sort of shot it on stage. And,
it's sort of like when you see
very well done.
When you see Glengarry Glen Ross, you're like, oh, this was a play. Of course it was.
Right. It's like you watch a Mamet play that got adapted into a movie is different than a Mamet movie, even though it all sounds like Mamet.
Yeah.
And that's the rhythms and the fuck and all that kind of stuff. But this is really well done.
And I will say, like, one of I love the movie Misery.
Sure.
And that was like because he had this sort of this string of hits, and this was sort of Misery was sort of like right in the mix there.
This was right before A Few Good Men, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see like I like the theater experience, but I do even before I had kids, I didn't see a lot of movies repeat, like multiple times in the theater.
Gotcha.
I did have movies that I saw multiple times, but that was reserved for very movies that I really dug, and Misery was one of them. I think I saw Misery 3 times in the theater, and I just, I had read the book too, so I think that was part of what piqued my interest. But I love the way that he did a great job, just taking what was there on the page, putting it on the screen, and I think he did a great job with taking the play and adapting it into a movie.
And he did a great job with 2 Stephen King
movies
without turning, not this isn't a criticism of him, but without turning into like Frank Darabont or some people that basically just do King adaptations. But he did them justice, I think, both of them.
Sure. And so just a little summary, in case you haven't seen this movie, and I think if you were, I would say, what would you say, if you were over 35?
I mean, it's a generational thing at this point. I was 16 when it came out.
A lot of people, I've seen people say this is a dad movie, but that's what I've heard. I mean,
sure.
not
It's not a criticism.
It's not a criticism.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of movies that people might consider dad movies that are good movies. Like
you mean like Best Picture nominee F1?
Or The Searchers. I always hear people say that's a dad movie. John Wayne's The Searchers. So, but whatever.
I heard of that one.
I've heard of it too. But anyway,
don't say John Wayne's The Searchers, because John Ford will come out of the grave.
Yeah, actually, I probably shouldn't have said that. I was just thinking John Wayne, and then I was thinking The Searchers, and then I just said that.
You're getting to be very goddamn ridiculous.
So, but this movie, in case you weren't familiar with it, it's just the basic plot line is that it's about a military lawyer who is trying to prove that 2 U.S. Marines that are charged with murdering a fellow Marine were only following the base commander's orders, and that's a very basic.
Which is based on a true story, apparently.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I want to talk about that because I found out I was actually saying to Drew before we started recording was that one of the things we don't do is we both are sort of in agreement that we don't want to we don't really try to dig too much into any kind of like critique or analysis from other people because we don't want to taint our own. But I'm a sucker for like really good like on-set stories, and when a movie's been out for a while, a lot of those kind of filter out to the public. And,
sure.
And something like this that came out in 1992, there's a ton of these stories, and the true story, which I actually kind of stumbled upon before I watched the movie. We had already decided to see it, that we were going to make an episode about it. But I happened to see it like it was a thing on like it was like an Instagram like it was one of the longer ones. It wasn't like a 30-second thing. This was like something that was a couple minutes long, and I watched the story about the true story, and it's very interesting. But I don't want to talk about that just yet.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people in this movie. We have Tom Cruise is the lead as Daniel Coffey, Lieutenant Daniel Coffey.
Did his career ever go anywhere?
I think so. I think he did a few things after this.
He's pretty charismatic.
I will say what's interesting, speaking of that, I know you're being, just trying to be funny, but what is interesting at this point, Jack Nicholson, big star, but Tom Cruise is given top billing.
Yes.
Which I did think was interesting. I guess he was a big star, but you would have thought that Jack Nicholson would get the top billing in this. But
is he credited second, or is he credited as and?
He's second. So it's
Tom Cruise,
it's Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore.
Gotcha.
Then we have Kevin Pollak, Kevin Bacon, Kiefer Sutherland, and '90s favorite character actor J.T. Walsh.
Yes, and
we have
Christopher Guest and
Christopher
Berkeley
Guest
and Cuba Gooding Jr.
Noah Wiley
and Joshua Malina. I mean, it's
I know
ridiculous.
Cuba Gooding Jr. It's so like random that he is just like and this was it was post Boys in the Hood, but pre Jerry Maguire.
Yeah,
And
5 years before, 4 years before,
something like that. But I just thought it was interesting that it was such a small part.
Yeah.
Like he basically just has one moment where he's on the stand testifying, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't see him
Just
any,
like Noah Wiley.
So yeah, well, no Wiley's in it because he drives them around the Guantánamo Bay.
Oh yeah, he has 2 scenes.
So he has. So that
He's the pickup private
I guess so. Yeah.
because he can get girls in New York and he can drive you around.
Yeah. There you go. What is interesting about this?
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
A lot
But
of Kevin.
what?
A lot of Kevins.
A lot of Kevins. Jack Nicholson. He made $5 million for this in 1992 dollars, and he only worked 10 days. So that's not bad work if you can get it.
Yeah, he must be. I meant to look this up. It must be one of those performances where it's extremely memorable. But what is he in the movie? 24 minutes, something like that. Like it's not much.
Yeah, I mean it's basically they have there's the scene where he's interacting where they play a little bit with the chronology.
15 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yeah. So there's the scene that takes place that's sort of out of the chronological sort of time frame where he's discussing with J.T. Walsh and Kiefer Sutherland about what are they going to do with Santiago, who's been complaining about leaving the base.
Right.
And then you have the scene where Demi Moore, Tom Cruise, and Kevin Pollak go to visit him, and then there's the scene at the end. I think that's it.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think we see him until he shows up in court when they call him to be a witness.
Yeah. So the and one of the themes here, which is, I mean, it is always interesting when we look at the thematic elements of these movies that we analyze here, and that is just some of these really kind of hit home right now because there is something very relevant to today about people just following orders, and is that do the ends justify the means?
Well, it's also the whole idea of a code of honor. In a military setting or not, what I think it's worth as a person interrogating that code.
Yeah.
For yourself, which is what Harold, the Lance Corporal who's charged with murder in this trial. It's what he figures out at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note what was going on at the time. So in 1992, and let me have to scroll down to where is my. I hate when this happens. Okay, so
you said you got a lot of notes.
I do have a lot of notes. I had to scroll a lot. I had to on my iPad here. So this is coming out just right after sort of post Cold War. So, the sort of that very close threat of like the Soviet threat that we had sort of lived for decades, sort of was no longer there. So it does sort of remove that idea of like we have to protect ourselves by any means necessary. I think people start to re-examine that when the threat doesn't feel as close. You also have Clinton being elected, who was, I believe they said, was the first president without prior military experience. FDR hadn't had military experience, but it had been a while since we'd had a president with no military experience. Mm-hmm. So that sort of represented there's this generational shift from the sort of this reverence we had for the military. So because all these prior presidents had some type of military experience, and it sort of becomes a little less important. Mm-hmm. I feel like, or at least in the minds of more people than it had been prior to Clinton's election. So these are some of the things that are going on at the time. So the attitudes toward the military, some of that reverence that we would have, and that sort of that blind, not allegiance, but like sort of that blind, just like good, just sort of that good faith in the military is like the military is right in what it does. Like that's sort of kind of fading away at this point in our history, and I think that definitely plays a factor in the way people will view this movie, because you know it's reflecting what, as a society, where we were at that time. And there's also this idea too of you have institutional authority and sort of the battle between that and sort of what's morally right. So
Right.
you have this people that are like, you have somebody like Colonel Nathan Jessup who kind of feels like, well, this is what we need to do because this is how we protect our country, but is it really the right thing to do, like morally?
Right.
So that sort of comes into question. Another little theme that's there. Little theme. That's probably not a good way to classify it, but you also have this theme of Daniel Kaffee living in the shadow of his father.
Yes.
Because it's not right in your face, but it does come up. Like it keeps coming up, even to the point where you see that even Nathan Jessup, the colonel, knows his father, and talks about a sort of a landmark case that his father worked on.
I also like how they don't spend a whole lot of time telling you this is who Tom Cruise's father is.
Yeah,
and this is like everybody knows who he is. Literally everyone knows. People, whether it's like, oh, you're that guy's son, or just everybody knows that's who it is. But it's interesting because nobody really puts any pressure on him to be that.
Yeah.
They either don't care or they're just like, well, I mean, you're a fuck up. Like, what are you doing in the military?
Well, and to be honest,
a lawyer,
though,
when your
I don't
father is
think-
this legendary lawyer, it's
I
just
don't
not
even
as
think
big of a
he's-
thing as it could be.
I don't even think he really. I wouldn't even really say he's a fuck up.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, but I think he's always looking for the easy way out. And to be honest, somebody that can do like what that character's doing with all these plea deals that are on the surface level, like these are reasonable. That's actually I think that does take some talent, but I think there are some times where it is worth it to put a little skin in the game and actually take the like something like this. They were obviously counting on him to try to just plea it, do a plea deal, and it all gets kind of swept under the rug.
Yep.
And he is a so I mean, like I think he is someone that was that character. He's a smart character. I think that's what's great about the way the character is written is that he's certainly not dumb. I mean, if you were dumb, I mean, we've seen incompetent lawyers portrayed, and he's not portrayed as incompetent. He's just like, I just want to get this done, and I can do it. I'm smart enough that I can figure out how to, because you see the way how glib he is, which is funny to use. Whenever I use glib, I always think of that interview where he yells at the reporter for being glib. Yeah. But anyway, that's besides the point. But how glib he is, where he's just like, oh, we're gonna do this. We got 12 years. It's, that's it, and everything is just we wrap it up in a neat little package, and it's all done. And so he's just taking the easy way out because he's smart enough to be able to do that.
What do they say? Like 70 plea bargains in his first 9 months or something?
Something crazy,
like that,
yeah. And he was like, and he's very proud of it too.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, but he's and that's what I think. The way that the character's written is what makes him very interesting, because he's not just some dummy that they're throwing on the case.
But he's still also very much a Tom Cruise character.
Sure,
it's great casting because he's arrogant and he has a crisis of confidence, and Kitty, don't help us record, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the other thing about this movie and a lot of Rob Reiner's movies. I mean, the casting is excellent, really excellent. And this was one of the first movies I think I saw Kevin Pollak in, and it's funny, when I saw the play, it was the tour before the movie came out, and I remember the character what was his name? Corporal Jeffrey Owen Howard. I remember the guy who played him in the play was like really, really good.
Wait a minute, who's that?
That's the pickup private, the one who drove them around the base.
Oh, okay.
And I remember thinking that because I was really curious when the movie came out, who in the play got to be in the movie. And one of the only people was that actor, but it wasn't that role. It was Joshua Molina in the play. Mm-hmm. And he is in one scene where he pokes his head in the office when the three lawyers are talking to Jessup.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's him. Oh, that's not going to be him in the same role. And it turned out like Joshua Molina became like really a staple in Aaron Sorkin's stuff. And it was really amazing to see the play. And I mean, there were a lot of people in the play that, just in the tour that worked in a lot of other stuff. But the original cast of the play on Broadway was like,
I think it was Tom Holtz was Caffey, right?
Well, it included people like Michael Janae and Clark Gregg,
Steve Lang was that?
Steve Lang, and Tom Hulse was
Caffey,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And Joshua Molina was in it, of course, and Jeffrey Knopf, and like all these people that were big on Broadway, and some of them went on to be big in the movies too. And like, this was a sort of simple sort of thing that premiered on Broadway in 1989. It was on tour 2 or 3 years later. It was a movie 2 or 3 years later. Like it's Aaron Sorkin's just whole life exploded. With opportunities. It's kind of amazing.
And like so Caffey's like his arc is obviously sort of as the backbone of this story, and everything I feel like kind of plays along sort of like his arc of where he goes from being the guy trying to get, let's just take care of this quick, to like seeing the value and like I need to actually take this seriously. And it's it's just a testament like to Aaron Sorkin's writing and his sort of his creation of the character story. And it's like obviously it all leads up to that third act where you're just like, I mean, what's going to happen, and I actually don't want. It's like I don't want to talk about the acting part of it yet, and the acting and the sort of the cinematography part of it yet. But it's so I know you won't, but just like it's like it'd be good to insert it in here, but I'm not at this point. But yeah, I think like this whole. Movie is sort of built on sort of like there's a moral complexity that is really what makes the movie so interesting when it's just a courtroom. It could be really boring, and we've seen. I'm sure you've seen boring episodes of Law and Order.
No, never ever.
What is a
No, I'm serious. I've never been bored with that.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was I talking about? It's also
that goes to what I was saying before, was that could easily become too stagey. And when I saw it on stage, it's not like it was a complicated production set design wise. It was very clever set design, but it wasn't. I mean, they shot this movie in an actual courtroom set, and with all the wood and the galley and all that kind of stuff, and the raised dais for the judge. The one that I saw, the judge was Paul Winfield, which was interesting.
Okay,
but it's got the same power, and the fact that Rob Reiner was able to turn it into a movie that really feels like a movie. And that was nominated for Best Picture and, did very well and all that kind of stuff. And you knew you were watching something interesting right from the beginning, because remember, I had forgotten it was really the opening credits is the drill team.
Yeah.
And that's just very impressive. You don't have to care anything about the story or the military or the Marines or anything. It's just very impressive. And that's literally just setting the tone of the movie with the level of precision and control and all these kinds of things, which then they immediately show you
the counterpoint.
Tom Cruise getting yelled at by Matt Craven for
like
I've been waiting in your office for 10 minutes and stop fucking around. He's like, but I've got balls to hit. Like it's just it's great, and it's very Tom Cruise, and it's very again it's the casting. So
yeah, definitely that's a this movie is certainly well cast. A few things that I read about the casting. Did you know that Lieutenant Weinberg was almost Jason Alexander?
No.
Apparently, what happened was Seinfeld got picked up for a second season, and He couldn't do the schedule.
What a bummer! That never went anywhere.
Yeah. So, and then also, apparently, James Woods was a very close, in the running for being Jessup, and I have to say, when it comes to like Jack Nicholson, with his like later, like I feel like sort of once he sort of gets, I don't want to say old man roles, but once we sort of get past like Terms of Endearment, Prizzi's Honor, sort of like that early to mid '80s roles, and the roles that he gets into beyond that, this is certainly, I mean, I don't think there's any question, post Terms of Endearment, that this is his best role. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything I would say that is. It's just I feel like his acting in this. I mean, I don't personally feel like it's cartoony because I think maybe the first time I saw it, I may have felt that way, but then when I watched
his performance as Jessup was cartoonish.
Yeah,
you mean?
at the first time. Now I was a lot younger when I saw it.
No, I'm not saying you think that now.
But at first, but when I watched it again, I thought, you know what, a guy like this, he would lay it on thick like that because he wants to intimidate people. Oh, yeah. So he's going to, so a guy, because let me tell you.
It feels like an acting choice rather than some sort of shtick or something.
Yes. And I'll tell you, so I had well, it was actually, he was a great uncle. It was my grandmother's,
you mean he was
no, stop!
Like,
don't go for the corny joke. Yes, no, he was my. I'm going to tell you if you be quiet. Stop.
I'm not going to
my
be quiet.
grandmother's sister's husband. That's what I mean by great uncle.
Why don't you just say that? Why don't you just say great uncle?
I did. Shut up! Oh my God, I hate you. Anyway, so I don't really hate you. I'm joking. But anyway,
sorry, I wasn't listening.
He is. Well, you never do, so it's okay.
What?
So he was in the Navy, and he was one of those guys, while not, the type that would yell, but he was one of those guys that would always try to intimidate you, say things. He was just one of those types of military guys. Type of guy, shake your hand and like squeeze it really like so. I'm a kid. He would shake my hand to where it would like hurt.
Oh yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah, one of those guys. I was like, ugh. And so when I thought of it in that light, I was like, oh yeah, I could see, that this was, like you said, it was a distinct choice that he was making, and it helps. It sort of supports this idea of where we end up with him at the end when he does blurt out that he did order the code red. It sort of supports that, and it makes that ending and him saying that, it just makes sense. It totally, like, I feel like that part is like, it's earned. And I love the thing about that is that, and okay, I'm probably jumping ahead to where I wasn't going to go, but I'm going to go now. That part, that scene when Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson are going back and forth, even though that's what he's going for, he says before they even go into the courtroom, he's like, he's sort of tipping his hand to the audience that, he's proud that he did this, and it probably eats him up inside that he can't tell everybody.
Right.
And that's what he's going for. But it's a testament to the editing and the cinematography and the directing and the acting that when he says, you're goddamn right, I did, that you still, even watching it now, even though I've seen it before, there's like this moment where you're like, whoa. Like, and you can see it on the faces of everybody else in the courtroom. They're like, I can't fucking believe he just said that. Yeah. And it's like, even seeing it, multiple times, when you get to that part, it just works. There's something about it that just works. I remember you were saying something about like seeing it after a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And
yes.
like,
I haven't sat down and watched this movie in many years, and not because I didn't want to, but I had seen clips on YouTube and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it just always sticks with you.
Yeah.
You really just remember so much of it. It's amazing.
I know. It's like there are movies that I watched that were just like from a few years ago that it's like I can barely remember anything from. And it's like I saw this. It's been at least 10, 15 years, probably 20 years since I saw this movie. And I just remember almost every part. Like, I distinctly remember like the whole scene where J.T. Walsh's character, spoiler, kills himself. I remember that whole scene. And I don't
his
know.
narration of his letter and the way he's putting on his dress.
Yes, and he
puts
puts the gun in his mouth. Yeah, I distinctly remember every part of that scene. Although I didn't remember that they showed him put the gun in his mouth. I was like, oh, whoa, okay, yeah. That was a little bit intense.
And then it cuts on the gunshot, right?
Yeah, well, he puts it in his mouth, and then it cuts away,
yeah.
and there's the gunshot. But like, I remembered the whole thing with him, like, basically preparing to commit suicide. There was no scene that I watched where I was like, oh, I don't remember this scene, or I didn't remember the scene played out this way. Like, I remembered everything, but
that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was just as satisfying, just as rich. Yeah,
and I remember I watched Aaron Sorkin's Masterclass on Masterclass on the app, and he's very.
Is he talking about like cooking or?
Yeah. He was telling you how to make,
creme brulee.
God, that's jinx.
Because he's fiery.
Exactly. But he said, where he starts with everything, because every story really can be boiled down to this. It's, there's a character with an obstacle and an intention. That's what every story is. You have a goal. And it's the obstacle and how you intend to work around that. That's really almost all stories are like that. And in fact, that's something I'm gonna in our next episode, which for Train Dreams, which is a little bit different type of story.
Just a little.
Yeah. So that I was reminded of that, of Aaron Sorkin talking about that. But that's jumping ahead. That'll be. You'll hear that.
Come back next week.
Yeah. Yes, you hear that.
Jinx.
Little teaser there. And I think what I like about the ending of this movie is that it's kind of messy, like real life, where it's like it's kind of a victory, but it's kind of not. It's like, Jessup is going to be, you would hope. Who knows? We don't see the aftermath, and nowadays sometimes you don't have faith that even though he has admitted his. Right. What he did, which is morally wrong, and that the hope is that he's going to be, justice is going to be served. But at the same time, so let's say in a perfect world, justice is going to be served for Jessup. But then it's like you have like you feel so sorry for not Dawes, Downey. Downey, because he's like. I can't go back to my platoon because that's all he's thinking about.
But that's the thing I think because you see the gears of the justice system start going immediately. Like Kevin Bacon is reading him his rights, telling him he has the right to remain silent. And
it's happening so fast, and they're
screaming like, "I'm gonna tear your eyes out."
Yeah,
fuck your
you
skull.
Fucked with the wrong Marine.
Piss in your skull or whatever. Yeah, your dead skull. But excuse me, kitten. But he. You can look at that and go like he was about to be director of operations for national security,
NSA,
NSA, whatever it was. He was supposed to get this big, obviously a big political thing. So you could look at it and you could go, well, I don't know if he's going to get away with it or if he's going to whatever. But then immediately after that, you get justice, you get the right verdict in the case, and you get them realizing it. Even Downey, it's James Marshall's character, who's he's dumb.
Yeah,
he's dumb. He's sweet. He's dumb, and he is easily molded. And he's under Downey's wing, and Downey is I'm not under Dawson's wing, and Dawson is clearly much brighter, more insightful, and he's the one who explains like, no, we were supposed to fight for the weak. We were supposed to defend the weak. We did something wrong, and Downey's response isn't, I don't get it, or I don't care, or I want to be a Marine. Like, they're heartbroken. Yeah. But that is just. They should not go down for murder. They should not go down for conspiracy. They were unbecoming. Yeah. Their conduct was unbecoming. And I actually worked for Jim Marshall's dad as one of my many jobs out in the business a million years ago. And I met James Marshall, and he was very nice, and it was funny because like he was the 1-2 guy in my memory as an actor, Twin Peaks and this. Yeah. And was very memorable in both of them, and it was very different because you believed him as this like they were really almost like Brando motorcycle loner guy in Twin Peaks, and then he's kind of a sweet doofus who also killed someone in this. Totally credible in both of those roles, and I think the ending is the most realistic part of the ending to me is that it's bittersweet. Like you don't have Santiago's parents. Aren't in the courtroom screaming for justice or something. You have, the two guys on trial, their family is there. And they don't react or freak out because I think everybody in the room knows that's the right verdict.
I mean, it's right,
even,
but
even
it's
Downey Downey figures it out.
But it's like, but it is sort of like,
but
because
sad.
you think about, it's sad because you think about this guy. So like, whether people think that how that character is written, the Downey character, I'll tell you, because my brother was a Marine and he told me some stories. There are some guys that come there that he was like, their life experience is they're like he had a guy that didn't really even understand how electricity worked because he came from the backwoods of like Kentucky, but they see like the military as an opportunity.
Are there front woods of Kentucky?
Maybe. I don't
Sorry,
know.
that was rude.
So, but they but like I don't even know if backwoods of Kentucky is an actual expression, but I'm just saying
say Appalachia,
he came from a place that was very he came from poverty, and the military was a way for him to get an education and to learn skills, and because so it's not uncommon to have guys like this Downey character who the military was going to be his whole life. Like that's what he wanted to do. He only wanted to be a Marine.
I've known people like this.
Yeah, that's what my brother said. He said that it's
a variety of reasons aren't in the service anymore because they had a mental breakdown, because they got injured, because whatever. And it's like, no, this was my whole life. I was going to be career.
Yeah,
I literally don't know what to do, and that's hard and that's sad.
Because some people think like they're like, oh, they're just going to go in and like something like my brother who was like got into like aviation and stuff like that, and then can do like consulting or whatever, and like that's not the goal of some people. Some people just want to go in and they just want to be a soldier, a Marine, whatever,
Those are two different things. We're going to get in trouble if you conflate.
No, that's why I said that's why I said it that way. Trust me, I know. Yeah. So I was gonna say like air. I just didn't feel like saying airman or sailor. I didn't go through the whole thing. But anyway, the point is that there are guys that are like that, and it is a little heartbreaking that they're going to be like that this is what all he wanted to do, and because he felt like he was following orders, now he's because obviously
that's a perennial lesson that needs to be learned and sometimes punished. And there's a lot of things happening in this country now where people's defense is going to be, I was following orders. And the point of the movie is it's appropriate to question the morality of it. Like there are people in military history. Like I always think of certain people like do you know who Otto Skorzeny is?
Do not. No.
Otto Skorzeny was a Nazi and an aristocrat.
Okay.
And a lot of what he did was one of those people that basically invented modern special forces, modern special warfare, all this stuff. And he did very crazy things like when Mussolini was captured, he flew a tiny little Storch aircraft and landed and grabbed Mussolini and took him out to safety, like crazy legendary military things and stuff like that. He was also a Nazi.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, it's like, well, what am I doing this for? I have all these incredible skills and experiences and all these things. What am I doing this for? And these two, they were kids. These two defendants are kids, especially Downey, but they're kids, and they murdered someone. And even though they're not responsible for the murder because they were following orders, they still murdered someone. They still followed orders, and that's why I feel like the movie, if it wasn't pitched right, it could have been very unsatisfying. Like, well, they got away with it. They literally killed the guy.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it the same way that Jessup and Kendrick did it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember when I saw the play, the guy who played Kendrick on the tour, he's been in other stuff. I want to give him credit. Conan McCarty. You might recognize him. He's been in a lot of stuff. I remember thinking Kiefer Sutherland is very good in this movie. He's very good. And he's got the same kind of bald head and the shark face and stuff. Conan McCarty is terrifying. Like, you could see the idea of defying Kendrick. Never mind Jessup. Like, Kendrick's the one who's in there giving you the order. Like, it would be impossible, especially for somebody like Downey, to think, like, never mind to ask the question of, is this wrong? But then, of course, the lesson at Dawson is like, of course we shouldn't have done that. We should be kicked out of the Marines because we did the right thing. Instead, we're kicked out because we did the wrong thing. And that is a very simple and clear lesson, but it makes for a very satisfying ending.
Yeah.
Even though, as you said, we don't see Jessup go on trial. We don't see him get sentenced. We don't see Kendrick, we don't see Kiefer Sutherland, running away from the MPs. Like, we don't see any of that stuff because we don't need to.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Rob Reiner makes movies like that, that need that. Not that he hasn't made movies with action and stuff like that, but it's just the right scale. And a lot of that is also, of course, Aaron Sorkin's writing.
Yeah, and then also you have to think about too is that even though Jessup is arrested, and regardless of what happens to him, the military culture continues. So it's like it's like, even if things change for a little while, it's like, is it always going to be that way? Because honestly, whenever you have, like a group put into, especially in extreme circumstances like these guys in Guantánamo Bay, you're gonna have, I think you're just gonna have behaviors like this. I don't think it's. I mean, you can do your best to control it, but I think that, and don't take me the wrong way. I'm not trying to say like this isn't a defense or a boys will be boys. I think more of what I'm saying is that you have to be constantly vigilant to not let that take root. So when you see it, it's just unfortunately people kind of just get caught up in it. And
that's what that's what this is about. It's about cultures clashing. And so there's the challenge is that one of the cultures is like, we have a code and honor, and that's the most important thing. But not enough people in the different parts of the story on that side of the divide actually said, what is the code?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Because to live by a code, to have honor, I mean, I'm not going to argue that that's an important value for people to have, but what is the code?
Well, the code means something very specific to Jessup.
No, right, it does.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing that it means to the Marines under him, because Jessup didn't go and kill Santiago.
Yeah.
Jessup manipulated these people to do what he needed to do to prove like this guy isn't a good Marine and he needs to be punished and he needs to be gone. He could have let him get on an airplane and leave, except
but he understood
then the guy was going to rat him out, and that's where he was dirty.
But it wasn't. I don't think it was just that. I think it was the fact that, and this is what I think sort of what he gets at when he's kind of letting it all kind of spill out, and at the end,
the whole men on walls and all that stuff.
Yeah, but and these are things that like Jessup believes that civilians are weak. Right. Harsh discipline prevents chaos,
right,
and his methods save lives, and that's because he feels like, and this is what he says. I can't remember if this is in the Guantanamo Bay scene or if he says it in court, but he does say that. I think it's in the court scene because he's like, while Santiago's death is tragic, it probably saved lives, because he feels like by sending a weak Marine somewhere else, just shipping him off somewhere else, you're sending like a weak link somewhere else, but he's still a weak link, and I think that's sort of what he thinks.
Well, that's I mean, that's why one of the many reasons it's good is because I understand where everybody's coming from, whether I agree with them or not. I understand it,
and those are the best,
and it's done
stories
so efficiently. Yeah. And, for for Aaron Sorkin being known as somebody who writes a lot of dialogue, like this scene in West Wing is like, 7 pages of dialogue in a minute, and other shows typically are 2.5 or something. It's very efficient, whether he's doing a lot or not. Like the West Wing is much more talky than this, and the American President is more talky than this. That becomes then the West Wing. But he's like Mamet. He's one of these guys. He's got a distinct style, and this is where it just blossoms. Like this is a hit play that turns into a hit movie, and then he's off.
So his idea of what he says is that he says that dialogue isn't like music. This is what he said in his masterclass. He says, dialogue isn't like music to me. He goes, dialogue is music to me. He said, because he likes the way it sounds, the way it flows, and you can tell when you listen to and to be honest, for as good as A Few Good Men is, it's not even the best example of his writing.
Oh no, it isn't.
I think
It shows you all the promise, but then as the promise gets paid off, you're like, oh, this is even more, which is great because you watch it grow. What do you think his best one is, in your opinion?
I mean, I really do like some of the scenes in Social Network.
He's doing a lot of great stuff.
Some of those scenes, some of those deposition scenes are so good.
Oh, does he write good legal stuff?
I think so. But some of those deposition scenes that, I love the. He says in a Social Network, he goes, if you want to sit on my shoulders and call yourself a giant, he goes, that's fine. He goes, but it doesn't make it true. I was like, I love that line. But anyway, before we get too far off on that, you know what I did? Let me bring up here real quick.
This is what I want to say because it's the same subject. Also, every single scene, like the whole movie is good, but every single scene that Philip Seymour Hoffman is in Charlie Wilson's War, and Moneyball, excellent scripts, and some big movie stars and all this. It doesn't matter. Like this is the kind of scripts these people get, and they're like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm going to do this movie. Like, what a big deal! And that's been pretty consistent. I mean, he's been working since the '90s.
Now, I do think
I don't love everything he's done.
I think Moneyball did have some, and this is
based on a book.
No, but I do think his script was, I think there was some rewrites to his script though after he did it.
Oh, by somebody else? Yeah,
and I think the reason you can tell that is because there's a lot of scenes of Brad Pitt being pensive and not talking.
Oh,
but and I was
that's true. Steven Zalian wrote it as well.
Yeah.
And Stan Shervin.
I'm gonna look up. I'm trying to find my notes on the actual story because the story, the real story. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is what happened. So Aaron Sorkin. So this is his first play, and he's working he's a bartender at a theater. So he's the guy that when you come out during intermission, he's the guy giving you like your drinks and shit like that. He's writing this play. He's writing it on napkins. Apparently, that's a true story. Like I always heard one of these things.
Yeah.
So
like his sister told him
his sister
because
she's a JAG lawyer.
Oh right, that's right.
So Deborah Sorkin's a JAG lawyer, and she told him about this case in 1986 at Guantánamo Bay, which is basically so it's a little bit different. Where 10 Marines. This is July 1986. 10 Marines hazed this private William Alvarado. Who is that's the analog to Santiago, except that he survives the in real life. That character survives, but he was messed up pretty bad, and but he was going to report an illegal fence shooting in Cuba. The inspiration for Dawson was this guy David Cox.
It's a crazy story.
He is acquitted of the serious charges and serves 30 days for assault. He is, and he's discharged. I think he's actually honorably discharged.
He was.
He honorably discharged, goes home, January 94. He's murdered. They still haven't solved the case, but this is the little tidbit that I heard that was really interesting. They found him in his military uniform. Or in he was wearing his jacket, and his father said he never wore that jacket.
Well, plus I heard it described like he vanished. And then when they found him,
it like 3 months later.
His body was bullet riddled.
Yeah.
So I don't think he killed himself.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. It was. But they said that, and he was wearing the jacket, and he said he never wore the jacket. So it was like. Feels like somebody maybe was trying to send a message. There was Keenan. Message,
yeah.
That's the true story of the which is very creepy. The inspiration, and anyway, he would write the story out that he's writing it out on cocktail napkins at work, and then going home and writing it on his computer at home, and then it became his first play in 1989. He sells the rights in 1988, which was well into six figures, apparently. And this is actually before it premiered on Broadway. I didn't realize that. That's actually... I wrote it down, and then I forgot.
You took a lot of notes, you said.
There you go.
So. You write it down so you don't have to remember all of
it. And so he spent... and then they spent about 6 months with Rob Reiner adapting the screenplay. And apparently William Goldman also did uncredited rewrite for $300,000. Nice.
Do you say apparently
Apparently?
because you don't know if he did it because no one knows anything?
Because
There's a little William Goldman joke for you.
Oh yeah. Is that what movie is that? Is that I was gonna say.
No, that's what Goldman always said. Is that nobody knows anything? Like this is going to be a hit movie. This is because it's this, because it's that. Oh, I know exactly what the audience wants. He's like, no, you don't. No one knows what it is.
And so yeah, but apparently Aaron Sorkin loved the changes that Goldman made, and because he's a bit experienced.
He's done a few good things. Yes.
And so I heard, and now you would know this because you saw the play.
Yes.
That the ending, it wasn't getting the ending. The sort of the smoking gun was the log books not getting Jessup to admit that he did it. That's what I read.
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember. I remember that like the story hinged on the like he could have been on an earlier flight and all that kind of stuff. I don't. That's one of the few details that I can't say it is or isn't different. I just don't remember it because I remember vividly the whole speech. I remember Kendrick's performance. I remember the energy of all of it. I remember the judge. And if you told me this line is exactly the same in the play, I quote unquote might remember it because I've seen the movie a lot more than the one time I saw the play. But the whole experience of it was very similar and translated very well. I don't remember if that story if that part of the story was a little bit different because all the characters and their motivations and the resolutions and everything were the same pretty much.
I heard I'm a little far away from the mic, sorry. I heard that they actually saw Rob Reiner on a podcast just a few years ago talking about when they were shooting the other actors' scenes for the don't throw me off. Stop. Anyway, he when they were shooting the scenes for the final scene with Nicholson, the You Can't Handle the Truth, that whole scene.
Yes.
They had he was there on the set while they were shooting the coverage. All of the other actors, and he did the line readings to them so they could do their line readings and reaction scenes. And he went last.
Okay.
So he does the whole thing. Rob Reiner said that first take, I guess when Tom Cruise was doing his part, he said full, like dialed up to 10 or 11 to make a Rob Reiner joke. Jack Nicholson does the whole thing like completely like you see it on the screen when it's and then they do another take, same thing, same level of enthusiasm, acting, and Rob Reiner says, "Hey, do you want to save a little bit for when the camera's on you?" And he's like, "Hey, I just like to act." And he said that what you see when the camera's on him, when he goes through his whole spiel, they said it was the same intensity. He never dipped down. He went, and I was like, that's pretty good.
He acts pretty good.
Yeah. They said that when he when the camera was on, so I guess they must have done. Where's the part where they said that? Oh, now I'm looking so they did 2 takes of him, doing the You Can't Handle the Truth part, and they said Rob Reiner was like, because that's it. They were done. They said because he did it the first time they did it, and he said like it just like was like kind of like everybody was just kind of in awe, and then they did it again. I guess this is with him obviously in full makeup and everything doing it.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Okay, that's it.
When you're done, you're done.
It was done." It was
check the gate and move on.
That reminds me of if you've ever saw I can't remember, it was some movie about Frank Sinatra, and they were like, "Let's do one for safety," and he goes, "What are we doing? Jumping out of a plane?" So that was it. Yeah, I know. But that was yeah. I mean, Jack Nicholson is just something else. I think there was something else I thought. I knew I had something else here. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit just about the Oscars that year for the 65th Academy Awards. They had 4 nominations that year: Best Picture,
Right.
Best Supporting Actor, Sound, and Editing, and they didn't win any. So
And they didn't get nominated for screenplay,
They didn't.
Right.
Oh yeah, I guess they didn't. No,
which is interesting. I don't know who else was nominated that year.
but oh yeah, I should have looked that one.
I'll
up.
look it up.
But you look that up. But I will tell you, but they were going up against the Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven, which is a pretty good movie.
It's pretty good.
I mean, and he lost to Nicholson lost to Gene Hackman in that movie. And Gene Hackman was really good in that movie. And then also,
Well, wait, do you know the other part of that?
was that?
They originally went for Gene Hackman for the role of Jessup, and he couldn't do it because he was doing Unforgiven.
No, well, there you go.
So one way or the other, one of those guys was going to be in these movies and in the Oscar. Just a question of which one.
So they lost to Unforgiven for Best Picture. They lost Best Supporting Actor to Gene Hackman. Best Sound was Last of the Mohicans.
I love that movie.
And Best Editing went to Unforgiven also. And Al Pacino won that year for Scent of a Woman. So
I don't think that movie really exists, but okay.
I'll be honest, was that because you can't see it? But
Hoo-wah.
I know.
Another movie about the Marines.
It's a well, it's funny that movie. It's sometimes people get the Oscar because they just feel like it's their time.
Oh no, I know, and that's why
I think
Al
that's why he
Pacino
is.
got the Oscar and then never worked again because he was finished.
So,
I'm
No, but
looking at the nominees
yeah,
that year. Original screenplay: Neil Jordan won for Crying Game, and adapted screenplay went to Howard's End, and it was also Enchanted April, The Player, A River Runs Through It, Scent of a Woman. I might have knocked out one or two of those in favor of A Few Good Men, but there's some good stuff in there.
I mean, I like The Player, but I mean, I don't necessarily know if it was surprising that it was nominated for an Academy Award, though. I mean, it wasn't for
movie business. They love movies about movies, and that's one of the
That's
ultimate
true.
ones of those.
That's
I mean,
true.
Michael Tolkien is a great screenwriter. And,
Yeah.
I mean, Howard's End is a great film, a great script too.
But this
I
is
like a good E.M. Forster adaptation.
But don't we all? I mean, really.
I mean, I even like A Passage to India. So.
So, well, there you go.
You should read the books, though.
Maybe we'll see. But I will say that this movie now, and this is actually something. This is kind of a statement about just film in general.
Okay.
And I want to see. I'm trying to think if I should wrap this up with. I don't know if you have anything more to say, but I want to. But I also have a recast for this too.
Okay.
So I'm trying to decide if I should do. Let me do the recast, and then I'm going to do just a little thing to say about just like movies like this. So here's what I have for Daniel Kaffee. I have now, a very obvious choice would be Glenn Powell, of course, right? Because he's like the new Tom Cruise, right? But I thought Michael B. Jordan could be a good recast, or I mean, I don't know if he had. I don't know. I don't see him with the same intensity, but maybe it's because I haven't seen him in enough stuff. Austin Butler, maybe.
I mean, I think he's kind of interesting in anything he's ever done, even if I don't like the movie. So.
Yeah. As Jessup, I could see like somebody like Bryan Cranston. And I also thought about J.K. Simmons, but I don't necessarily know if he has the thing. I don't.
That'd be very Whiplash, ultimately.
Yes, and I also don't think he has. Oh, especially the part where the whole thing about like ask me nicely.
Right.
That's very Whiplashy.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, I don't think when Jessup has to play nice in the beginning part of that Guantánamo Bay scene, I feel like J.K. Simmons is. It's like he has a switch, and he's either menacing. I don't feel like he can switch in the middle of a scene. That's me personally. I feel like he's either like he's like the dad in Juno,
Or he's on Oz.
he's Schillinger.
He's Schillinger,
Yeah, that's
fair.
That's just nothing against him. I think he's great. So somebody like Galloway could be Emily Blunt. We were just talking about her before we started the podcast. Or you know who else could? Somebody like Kerry Washington. Because I was thinking of her like what was it? Scandal. Was
No, she's great.
How about here's what for Weinberg, somebody like Andrew Garfield or now he doesn't have the, I don't know if it's the funny as much, but Jeremy Allen White maybe.
He's also good at acting.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
good work. He is definitely. I don't find him. Well, it's funny because I don't think of him as a funny actor. I don't know if you watched Shameless, but I remember watching Shameless, and
I've seen clips.
I was like, "It's a really, really great cast. People that you knew, like Bill Macy." But I was like, "Who is this Flip kid?" That was his character, and I was like,
I think it was Lip.
"Oh, sorry, Lip." Excuse me. Well, Philip. He was Philip, and they called him Lip. And I was like, I want more of this. Like, this kid is really good. And a bunch of people came out of that show, young people, and have continued to have big careers. But I remember he was just so dynamic, and he was very funny. Yeah. He was very dry and sarcastic and like fueled by his insecurity and stuff.
I've seen like a ton of clips.
Yeah.
The Kevin Bacon role, Jack Ross.
I think it could probably be Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
He has to play everything.
Yeah. How about Boyd Holbrook, who actually almost is like a Kevin Bacon type person? You know who?
I do. Yeah. I like him.
Or maybe somebody like Jake Gyllenhaal. Maybe
he's pretty good too. Or maybe somebody like Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Oh, you do gender swap. There you go. Kendrick, John Bernthal.
That would be an interesting choice.
Yeah. It would be
or Frank Grillo. Bernthal's better.
Yeah, I don't know if Grillo. I don't know Grillo. I couldn't see him pulling off like the. I feel like Bernthal could pull off like the sort of like country accent. I don't think. Grillo
that's
could.
fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Markinson, the JT Raw. I could see somebody like David Harbour or Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright, or because he pulls off big glasses really well. Liev Schreiber.
There you go.
Schreiber.
There you go. That works.
He can't pull off big glasses. He can pull it off.
Yeah.
And then if you had like
the whole Menachem Begin vibe, if you want.
There's wow. Why don't you pull out your 70s political figures?
Well, he's the glasses.
Yeah.
Look up Menachem Begin, and you'll be like, wow,
I am going to now.
They'll be like, those are some serious glasses, boss.
For Dawson and Downey, I was thinking of Downey as Tom Holland could be a Downey, like sort of like that like. But anyway, and Dawson, I was thinking, the guy from The Long Walk, David Johnson, and this is a thought.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm listening.
No. So that's I didn't really go any beyond that. Anyway, was there anything else that you wanted to say before we wrap it up?
No, it was fun to revisit this movie.
Yes, it was it was definitely something that was I hadn't watched it in years.
Right.
And I will say this, what really sucks about, the one thing that does suck about this movie is that it's very hard to find streaming wise. I bought it just digitally because I just, I was like, I enjoy this movie. So I actually just bought it because it was cheap. But you can't find it. It's not like streaming on any kind of service anywhere. So
it is weird how sometimes these major movies just don't end up licensed at all or at certain times to services. So you can rent them digitally, you can buy them, you could get it at a library, but yeah, it was never, as far as I know, it's never been even on like Netflix or Hulu or anything. So
well, what I don't understand is that people always say, they're like, well, everything's streaming. Like,
no, it isn't.
It's not.
That's the whole point. Netflix, the disc service had over 100,000 titles, and Netflix streaming has about 8,000 at any one time. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, you can watch whatever you want to watch.
Yeah.
So you can't. I can't. And that was the thing. You can't even watch all HBO stuff on HBO anymore because they took some of that stuff off, so they didn't have to pay the actors. So you can't even watch.
Right.
Westworld's not even. Did we talk about this, or am I hallucinating?
I think we might have.
We might have.
And I didn't get to finish watching Raised by Wolves, that Ridley Scott
Oh
series.
yeah, we did. We must have
cut
talked
that.
about
Yeah.
this because I do remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It's annoying.
you can't even watch it, and it's all because
And the Catherine Hahn show, Mrs. Fletcher, is really good. I saw the whole thing, but I mean, like, that's a great show. Gone.
yeah. Well, I've heard season 4 of Westworld's terrible, but
So have I.
Hey,
I haven't seen it. But
I
you
would
want the
like to
option.
see it. I want to have the option. Jesus,
You don't want it to get Zaslav. It's not cool.
I know that guy. Anyway, so so that's a wrap on Few Good Men. And if you follow us on our Instagram page at Storypunk Pod, you will find updates when we release new episodes. Now, I will say, because recently we've had some bad weather here and I got a little behind. I have not put anything out for the last couple episodes, but that will change. So by the time you hear this, I'll have that all taken care of, and you will see the all of the updates. So every week, and I'm hoping to put more stuff out there so that you can see that. When we have a new episode out, and we also are on Facebook, and I put some updates on there as well. I put the updates for the releases, but we also put other updates on the just like put random stuff on there too that might be of interest to people that listen to the podcast. And I am on Letterboxd as Storypunk Scott, and Drew is on Letterboxd as well.
Solid Gould.
With the Solid Gould dancers. And
I hope they weren't distracting you the whole time.
no. And remember, before we go, story matters.